I used to think that my body changes meant that something was wrong with me until I realized they were messages, signals, leading me to more energy, clarity, and a deeper sense of freedom. I'm Stephanie Hutchins-White, and now as a women's health mentor, holistic nutrition coach, and energy practitioner, I help women over 40 decode their symptoms and hormones and trust their body's wisdom so they can feel, look, and sleep their best. In the You Being You podcast, we're not here for quick fixes or one-size-fits-all solutions. This is where science meets intuition, where we get to rewrite the old stories about aging, and where you get to take back your power one small step at a time. Join me and my guests each week as we uncover the missing links to your symptoms, dive deep into the mind-body connection, and explore how to thrive naturally at every stage of life. Your body is beautiful and it knows what it's doing. Get ready to unlock the energy you've been missing and have fun along the way. Pull up a seat. This is the You Being You podcast. Welcome back to the You Being You podcast. I'd like to ask you a quick question. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Do you have one flavor in mind, or do you have a handful of flavors that you mix up and change depending on the weather, the season, or even how you're feeling? I'm guessing that you have a few favorites because really, who can pick just one? When I was first getting into holistic health, I thought that there was one best way to eat, one type of eating plan that would solve all of my clients' needs. I knew that likes and dislikes would be a factor, but I didn't really think about exactly how much personality, culture, environment, or even how well or not well a client's plumbing, if you know what I'm talking about, was working, or how well they pooped would dictate how they would actually show up. I had no idea until I started coaching one-on-one. And then I quickly discovered that not only did they need help in different areas, but who they were was both the biggest roadblock and the light at the end of the tunnel. Once I layered in traditional Chinese medicine and the 5 elements, my mind was blown, and the results for my clients started happening. My very first one-on-one client had a heart condition, so I had to take into account what she liked and didn't like, and she hated cooking. I had a client a few years ago, and her biggest complaint was heartburn. I had another client who was Muslim, and we needed to adapt her planned protocol to take her religious fasting into account during Ramadan. All different people. Not one of my clients have been the same. No one has had the same complaints, needs, or wants. And so each one-on-one plan has had to be adaptive. My sister, who was recently struggling to pack for a recent trip, she couldn't get everything she needed into her suitcase because she was actually going on 3 different trips at the same time. She was spending 5 days with old friends for her 50th birthday on a trip and needed beach clothes. She was also going for a branding photo shoot and speaking on a stage, so she needed more clothes that showed her business side, not her beachy side. And then she was also visiting our parents and working in their garden, so she needed more spring casual clothes. Each of my clients have been the same, like packing for a different journey, same suitcase, but what goes inside depends entirely on the destination, the season, and the traveler's needs. Trying to fit each of them into a strict one-size-fits-all plan would have felt like building a puzzle without the lid. Could you imagine not knowing what the puzzle looked like before you started? Or worse, that you didn't even have the lid to give you the map and were using pieces from the wrong box. Forcing a puzzle piece from the wrong box, no matter how many times you turned it, squished it, or pressed harder, it would never ever fit. Most of my clients before working with me were doing everything right on paper, but it didn't feel right in their bodies. Their plan was based on someone else's picture, someone else's needs, personalities, or even season of life. I had a client, Alyssa, and she was a powerhouse. She worked in corporate leadership, loved the gym and high-intensity aerobics, and was always on the go. She was a strong, what I would call wood-fire combo, driven, passionate, high-achieving. She was the kind of client who never missed a check-in. She followed every protocol, every supplement, every suggestion. She tried all the new recipes. She changed even how she cooked, cooking cleaner, and she joked that her kids kept asking her if the boring way of eating was over, which meant, clean eating and not eating as many processed foods was over yet. But her body wasn't responding. In fact, things were getting worse. Her weight wouldn't budge, and she was feeling frazzled and was losing patience with the process. And one day she told me, "I feel like I'm stuck in a stranger's body. Nothing makes sense anymore. I don't know what to eat next." She was exhausted, but of course, because she was a wood fire type, she kept pushing. I had a hard time convincing her to give up the gym days and take a break while we focused on a different approach. She couldn't imagine slowing down because rest really actually felt like failure to her. But all that forward motion, mentally, physically, emotionally, was like fire without fuel. She was burning through her reserves. Her nervous system was fried. Her hormones were waving the white flag, and her kids were making her feel miserable. And here's the key. Her energy type, her wood and fire weren't the problem. They were her strength when they were supported in the right way. She didn't need to be fixed. She needed to understand her design. Once we shifted her plan and worked with her energy, adding in recovery rhythms, cooling foods, gentler movement, and better emotional outlets, her whole system started coming back online. She didn't lose her edge. She stopped burning herself with it. And here's the wild part. Alyssa's story isn't unique. Science backs this up. A long-term study by the American Psychological Association looked at 50 years of data from nearly 2,000 people. What the researchers found was striking. People with certain personality types, especially impulsivity, were strong predictors of weight gain and health struggles. Did you hear that? The strongest predictor of who's going to carry that extra weight? Impulsivity. Those who scored in the top 10% of impulsivity weighed an average of 22 pounds more than the bottom 10%. These individuals gave into temptation more easily and struggled with consistency, especially when life got hard. They weren't lazy or broken. They just didn't match the blueprint most health plans are built around: high discipline, delayed gratification, and strict routine. So it's not just about willpower, it's about how you're wired. And if you've been trying to fit yourself into someone else's version of health, ignoring your natural traits and tendencies, it's no wonder your body feels off. This is exactly what I see over and over again. Your personality, your stress responses, your emotions, they all influence how your body responds. And unless your health plan takes that into account, you'll keep feeling like you're forcing and using a puzzle piece from the wrong box. That's why the 5 elements in traditional Chinese medicine blew my mind once I started adding them into my practice. I could see the link between personality and symptoms. And it doesn't just look at symptoms. They look at you as a whole person. They explain why certain plans, habits, and even foods feel good for one person and are totally draining for another. You're not meant to follow the same path as everyone else. You're meant to follow the one that was made for you. So when I stumbled into traditional Chinese medicine, and more specifically the 5 elements, it was like somebody handed me a map. Not a strict rule-based one, but a choose-your-own-adventure kind of map. And that got me excited. I could see myself in a few of the elements, and I could see many of my clients who were struggling the most. I was beyond excited for them because I could see and feel how this was going to change everything in my practice. It explained why some clients were burning themselves out chasing goals no matter how much they tried, while others were frozen in indecision and truly stuck. Why some felt bloated and foggy when they followed a clean eating plan that worked wonders for someone else, and why emotional patterns kept repeating themselves, like jumping in with so much hope, but letting themselves down once again, even when they were doing everything right. The 5 elements showed me something Western wellness often misses, that our symptoms aren't random. They're messages. They're breadcrumbs from our body. Yes, but also from a deeper part of us, our essence, our energetic blueprint. They are who we are. Like your ice cream flavor, it's personal, intuitive, and sometimes seasonal. Let me quickly walk you through them and let's see if you recognize yourself in any of them. The first one is wood. Wood energy loves and needs a sense of progress, of moving forward, and they thrive in healthy competition. Plans work really well with this energy type, but when life blocks your path, you get snappy, irritated, and impatient, and your digestion tends to get stuck. One day it's flowing and working like clockwork, and the next you're no longer regular. That's wood's energy calling for flow. Think of a strong tree, standing tall and firm. It feels sure of itself when its branches are open wide, but it needs to be able to bend with the wind, or it's actually going to snap. Now, how about fire? The fire element, maybe you love to burn bright. You light up a room, love people and places, and most likely love travel and the color red. But if you burn too bright for too long, you can secretly become exhausted. You can't sleep and your heart races at night. Fire types feel deeply, love deeply, and crash deeply when they ignore their need for true connection. Think of it like a campfire left to burn too hot for too long. Eventually, its embers burn out and it turns to ash. Now let's take a look at earth. If you're an earth type, you love family and meals around a table. You're drawn to nature, gardening, being outside, and sometimes naturally love cooking. You love helping, holding space for others. Yet when imbalanced, your energy can feel heavy, your body bloated, and your thoughts stuck in a loop. Earth energy wants to nourish, but it also wants to be nourished and needs to stop and enjoy the sweetness of life. And because of this trait, can sometimes really love sugar too much. Now let's take a look at metal. If you're a metal type, you value minimalism, beauty, rituals, and philosophy, and have a deep love of history. You process life quietly, deeply, and love deep conversations. Small talk bores you, so big social gatherings are not your thing. You'll go, but you just don't really love them. Grief or criticism cuts you like a knife. Metal energy is precise and powerful, but it can isolate when it tries too hard to stay clean and correct. Metal needs to bend just like it does in the earth, or digestion becomes clogged and shows up with itchy and scaly skin. Too much flow without proper boundaries can lead to rust and can show up as arthritis. And our last but not least element, water. As a water type, you might feel creative, a deep thinker, and often love art. Chances are you're an artist in some way. Paint, music, pottery, poetry, writing. You are dreamy and intuitive like a river. You know you need to pull and recharge your energy when you've been around too many people for too long. When in balance by saying yes to too many things over time, you can feel frozen like ice in your body and mind. Water energy runs deep, but when fear takes over, it can turn into overwhelm or exhaustion that seeps into your bones, feeling like rumination. Do you see yourself in any of these? Were you one of them or maybe a combination of a few? That's why I love the 5 elements. They don't box you in, they explain you. They help you see what your body's been trying to say all along. And no, we're not all Alyssa with her fire personality. Maybe you're more like the earth type who can't stop caring for others, or the water type who keeps freezing in fear and over-researching instead of starting. But know your element is like finding your puzzle box and the lid, and suddenly all the pieces start to make sense. What I want you to take from this is that you're not one forever. You're a blend, and your dominant energy can actually shift, especially through major life transitions like menopause and retirement. But recognizing your core pattern gives you a starting point, a way to interpret your symptoms not as setbacks, but as signposts. When we work with our nature, not against it, healing feels like remembering who you are. And if you're curious about your dominant energy type might be, or which one might be out of balance right now, I created a short quiz that can help. It's called the Hidden Clues Quiz, and you can find the link in the show notes. If this resonated with you, make sure to follow this podcast and give us a follow. I've got episodes coming that will take this even deeper, including how to shift your habits without fighting yourself. Thank you for joining me today, and don't forget, keep being you. Thanks for listening to this episode of the You Being You podcast. If you found something helpful, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you're loving the podcast, I'd be so grateful if you left a review. It helps more women like you tune in and trust their wisdom. Speaking of wisdom, your body is always giving you clues. And if you're curious about what they're saying, take the Hidden Clues quiz. It's a fun way to unlock your energy type and get some answers. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're ready for deeper support, the Flourish Academy is where we do this work together, helping women 40 plus feel better, have more energy, and actually enjoy their bodies again. I'll add a link to learn more in the show notes. Until next time, keep trusting yourself and keep being you.